Welcome students. So in this video we are going to study the exemptions from tax for employees. For employees, these are the incomes which are exempted from tax. The first one is the leave travel concession. The leave travel concession, any travel which is done by the employee and it is for official purpose, and this exemption is available whether it is for official purpose or whether it is for leisure activities. This exemption is available to Indians as well as for foreigners. But the condition is that the amount of exemption that will be claimed by the employee shall not exceed the amount of expenditure incurred by the employee regarding that travel. The second one is allowances or perquisites outside India. These are tax-free perquisites like medical benefits, tea or snacks. So income tax is not chargeable on these. These perquisites are allowed outside India by Government of India to a citizen of India for enduring service in India. The exemption will not avail by the non-government employees. This exemption will not be availed by the non-government employees. Only the employees which are of government are allowed the exemption regarding these incomes. The next one we have exemption from gratuity, or we can say death cum retirement gratuity. So in case of gratuity, we are covering two employees. The first one is government employees and second one, the employees are classified under non-government employees. For government employees, the amount of gratuity received is fully exempted, but in case of non-government employees, the maximum amount of exemption will be of rupees 20 lakh rupees. Commutation of pension. For commutation of pension, there are two cases where the pension is commuted and uncommuted. Regarding uncommuted pension means where the regular payments are received by the employees, not the lump sum amount received in one go. So where the amount of pension is uncommuted, it means regular payments are received after the leftover of the job, then it is taxable for all the employees. That amount will be taxable for all the employees. But if the amount of pension is commuted, it means the lump sum amount is received by the employee. Then we classify the employees under two categories, that is government employees and non-government employees. In case of government employees, whatever the amount of pension that will be committed, or we can say the lump sum amount is received by the government employee, that will be exempted from tax. And in case of non-government employees, the two conditions are also checked, whether the employee is receiving gratuity or not. If the employee is receiving gratuity, then 1/3 of the commuted value of pension. It means whatever the lump sum amount the person is receiving, the 1/3 of that amount will be exempted from tax. And in case the employee is not receiving the gratuity, in that case exemption is of 1/3 of commuted pension. 1/3 value of commuted pension is exempted from tax. So now here are the cases that where the pension is, to sum up, regarding commutation of pension, exemption claim regarding commutation of pension. Two cases are there where the pension is commuted or not commuted. If the pension is not commuted, it means regular payments are receiving after the left off job, then it is taxable for all the employees. If the pension is commuted, it means lump sum amount is received by the employee, then we are classifying the employees under two categories. The first one is of government employees, the second one is for non-government employees. For government employees, any amount of lump sum received that is fully exempted from tax if the employee is non-government. So we classified again whether the person is receiving gratuity or not. If the person is receiving gratuity, then 1/3 of the lump sum is exempted. If the employee is not receiving gratuity, then half of the commuted pension or the lump sum amount will be exempted from tax. Then we have leave salary or encashment of earned leave. Regarding leave encashment salary, so there are three cases where the encashment is done during the service, at the time of retirement, or after the death. If the encashment of leave is done after the death of the person, then it is fully exempted in case of that amount is received by the legal heirs of that person, then it is fully exempted from tax. But if the leaves are encashed during the service, then it is fully taxable. Whatever the amount received is fully taxable. But at the time of retirement, then again we are classifying the employees into two categories, that is government employees and non-government employees. In case of non-government employees, there are 4 limits of exemptions where we can classify how much amount of exemption that can be claimed. There are 4 conditions, out of which the least amount will be exempted. And in case of government employees, it is fully exempted. Leave encashment of salary for government employees is fully exempted, but in case of non-government employees, 4 conditions are there. 4 conditions, out of those 4 conditions, the minimum value will be exempted, and the notified limit is of, means the maximum limit is of 3 lakh, which can be claimed. Then is the compensation on retrenchment. Finance Act 1975 has inserted a new clause, that is 10B, in section 10 of the Income Tax Act, and which provides the retrenchment compensation received by workmen that shall be exempted from income tax, and where the conditions are that there are 2 conditions. Amount, first of all, we have to compute the amount in accordance with the provisions of section 15F subsection B of the Industrial Dispute It means under 2 conditions we have to compute the amount in accordance with the provisions of section 15B under Industrial Dispute Act 1947 and rupees 5 lakh. Then whatever the amount, whether the provisions के according to हमने amount compute करा and this 5 lakh. So whatever will be the less amount will be exempted from tax. Then we have commutation of pension that we had done regarding commutation of pension. Next point we have compensation on voluntary retirement. Compensation on voluntary retirement. If the employee has taken the voluntary retirement, then the compensation which is received by that employee will be exempted from the tax. Then any amount of tax paid by the employer on the value of perquisites. On any value of perquisite, if the any employer paid tax. So, as its option, the tax on the value of perquisites, which is given to an employee, not provided by way of monetary payment, and the amount is not payable as a monetary payment, that amount on the hands of employee will be fully exempted. It means that if the employer has provided the tax on that taxable value on the value of perquisites, if the employer has paid any tax on the value of perquisite, then employee should not have to pay any tax, and that amount of perquisite should be exempted from tax in the hands of employee. Then the next point into this is the payment from statutory provident fund. Any amount withdrawn from the statutory provident fund is exempted from tax. And this provision is also applicable on public provident fund also, the same public provident fund also. Then any payment from recognized provident fund. Any payment received from the recognized provident fund, then the accumulated balance which is due and payable to an employee in the recognized provident fund is also exempted from the tax, but the exemption is limited to Rule 8 of Part A of the 4th schedule. Then we have payment from approved superannuation fund. Approved superannuation fund. It means if any amount is summed up by an employee for the future benefits, then any amount received from the superannuation fund is also exempted from the tax purpose, tax point of view. We can say that any amount which is received by the person regarding superannuation fund, regarding the death of beneficiary, on the death of any beneficiary, to an employee in lieu of any commutation of annuity, retirement benefits, it means any payment received that will be exempted from tax. Any accumulated benefits he is receiving. Then we have regarding house rent allowances. We know that there are conditions, 3 conditions which we have to check out. The first is actual rent paid. From which we subtract the 10% of salary. Then we have 40% of salary, and in case of metropolitan cities we have 50% of salary. And the third condition is whatever the actual amount of HRA received. So least of these will be exempted from tax. And last we have special allowance for meeting certain expenditures. Any expenditures like allowances which are provided to employee, that expenditure related allowances are also exempted from tax, which you have studied in the chapter salary. Thank you.